I'm Shawn.
And I'm Mike, and you're listening to
Shawn and Mike Take a Hike.
Welcome to another episode of Shawn and Mike Take a Hike.
Okay, what are we talking about today, Mike?
It should have been episode number 2, but I think we're going to cover pooping in the woods.
That would have been, okay, hindsight, we should have made it episode number 2. Didn't even think of that.
Yep, that was off the cuff right here. So
Yeah, so pooping in the woods, huh? This is the one that the most people have been asking for.
Yes.
Yeah.
And one of the weirdest things to talk about, maybe? I mean, everybody does it, though.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that weird to talk about. I mean, I know when you and I first started, it was a big concern for, I don't know about you, but it was a big concern for me is like, how does this happen? What does that look like? I was kind of nervous to do it the first time. I mean, you and I
have done some Google searching.
Oh yeah, I did some Google searching, tips, tricks, techniques, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
But
there's a lot of different ways that you can accomplish it. I found the one that works for me. I didn't really try the other ones, but
yeah, I don't feel the need. I mean, there's a lot of different methods, and I guess we can go through some of them during this episode. But yeah, I don't find the need to get real fancy about it, you know.
No, you find what works for you and you kind of stick with it. It's all going to depend on your core strength, your calf and thigh strength, like things like that. How far down can you squat, or do you need some assistance? So,
I don't feel like I use my core at all when I'm doing it.
Oh, you might be doing it wrong.
Maybe I am doing it wrong. So
balance is all about core.
Well, I guess maybe that's true. I don't know. I guess I don't feel like I'm balancing. Maybe I'm just that good at balancing.
Could be. Might have the strongest core ever.
That's what we're gonna go with.
That's probably it. Yeah.
So let's talk about. Okay, so this episode is all about pooping in the woods.
Yep. Bears do it.
It's weird. Seen it. Well, we haven't seen it directly come out of a bear.
Well, fair. Okay. But
we're assuming we've seen bear poop.
Right.
So let's start out with, okay, so, man, it is kind of weird to talk about this. Like, I don't even really know where to start.
Well, so you said you were nervous before we got out on our first trip about actually doing it. I do believe you were the one that bit the bullet and did it first. So, talk us about ripping off that Band-Aid.
Okay, well, so for some background first off. So, let's talk about some prepping first. We'll get to the actual pooping part, but let's talk about some things. Let's talk about some things that you got to bring, right?
Yeah.
So, depending on where you are camping or hiking, you're going to have to figure out, like, what all specifically you need to bring. What Mike and I bring in order to facilitate pooping in the woods is we bring a collapsible shovel so you can dig a hole.
Yep.
We bring toilet paper.
Yep.
We bring dog poop bags, so like the little plastic bags that you would pick your dog poop up with.
Yep.
You and I both bring a little tiny thing of hand sanitizer, which I think is good practice.
Yep. Well, I mean, especially you're going to be eating on the trail too after you've been peeing and pooping in the woods and touching random things. So just sanitizer in general is a good idea.
Yep. And then on top of that, we bring. Explain to them what the bag is that you clip to the outside of your pack.
So I found I'm going to call it insulated, but it's insulated with like that metal, like it almost looks like a face blanket type material on the inside, but it looks basically just like a bear bag or a dry bag type thing. It's a nylon exterior. I think I have a 1 liter or a 1.5 maybe liter bag, and it acts just like a dry bag or a bare bag, where it collapses down, you roll it up, clip it, all that stuff. But it's to keep odors and just things out of sight, out of mind type of thing. And you can clip it to the exterior of your pack, so you're not putting waste inside of your pack. So I found it on Amazon. It's I don't know. I take it on every trip just because I don't really want to. We're putting. So we use the toilet paper. Where we're at in Michigan, the pack in, pack out says pack out your teepee. So we use the dog poop bags to pick up our teepee and handle the teepee as if you would be picking up your dog poop. And then you tie that off, and then you throw it into that sack, roll that up, clip it. Doesn't smell the prettiest when you open that pack up, but it definitely keeps the odors from seeping out and everything while you're hiking, while you're at camp, anything like that, because realistically you never really get more than 30 yards away from your tent, so you don't want those odors there. And with it being odorless exterior-wise and everything, you don't have to worry about hanging it, stowing it in a bear lock or anything like that. You can leave it. I still set it a good 10 yards from my tent just in case, but never had any issues with animals or anything like that. It definitely keeps the odors from seeping out.
Yeah, I know. I mean, when we're hiking, you definitely don't smell what's in that bag ever. I mean, you do when you open it, of course,
Right,
but
right.
just walking down the trail, you don't smell that you
Yeah,
got a bag full of shitty toilet paper. Um, so yeah, so like Mike said, where a lot of the places that Mike and I have been going hiking, the pack in, pack out rule um, states that you are okay to bury your waste, but they don't want you to bury your toilet paper.
yeah,
So even when Mike are not in those areas, because we have gotten used to doing that method, and I really do think it's better for the environment, and you're never going to come across stray teepee if you pack out your teepee. So Mike and I are just in the habit of packing out our teepee, even if we are not in an area that is as strict with the pack in, pack out rules.
yeah,
Um, the other thing about pooping in the woods is you will read in a lot of these things is they want you to be, a certain distance from whatever the water source is, because of course they don't want you to contaminate that water source.
yeah. And camp too, but you definitely want to get away from camp anyway. But yeah, you want some privacy.
Yeah, well, exactly. But it's 200 feet, isn't it? 200 feet from a water source?
200 feet. I think that roughly equates to how many meters? I don't know. If we have any foreign
Well,
listeners, they can do the math.
I know.
Do the math, people.
What would that be in me? It's like feet to meters. It's a third.
So
So
600. No, no, it would be 600.
no, that's backwards. It'd be like
75 feet, 75 meters.
No, it'd be like 68 meters or some nonsense
I was
like that.
rounding up.
Yeah. Well,
Semantics.
anyway. So that is option number one. Option number one is you basically, I mean, it's just like it sounds. You go dig a hole, at least 6 inches deep. I was shocked to find out the first time that I did it, not to be too gross, and I guess you should at this point know what you're getting in this podcast, but I was surprised at how good my aim was. I'll be honest with you,
Same.
because I did not dig that big of a hole.
Yep.
And everything went right where I wanted it to.
Yeah. Yeah. I had the same reaction the first time, and well, actually, I have the same reaction every time because I don't know. I'm still a little nervous that I'm gonna miss or whatever for whatever reason, but it's always in there and it's always able to be covered up just fine. And I usually take some sticks and make like an X. I stick one into the dirt and then make an X over it. Just try to make some kind of a thing so people know not to dig there, because in the middle of the woods it doesn't look like anybody's ever been there before. So you don't want to be digging up other people's poop, and I don't want people, dealing with that. So I try to mark it a little bit to let people know that that's where I've gone. But that's neither here nor there. It's a recommendation that I've read on a lot of sites, but I don't think it's not a requirement.
I never I have not read that anywhere. I never even thought to do that. I
No.
just assumed that the woods is so big that the chances of somebody digging in the exact same spot that I just dug is pretty remote.
Yeah, I mean, it probably is. Um,
I mean, because look, because I'm walking a good ways. I'm walking a good ways from the trail. I'm walking a good ways from camp. I ain't
I
trying
always
to.
have it in the back of my mind, though, is I don't know what's on the other side of the woods. So, like, you could be going 200 yards from the water source, but you don't know if there's a trail 20 feet. Like, well, that happened to me in the Pictured Rocks last year. Uh, Went to find a spot to go to the bathroom, and I did, but then found out that the trail was 20 feet as saw people walking past about 10 minutes after I got done. So, um,
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
that would have been a good wake up call for everybody.
but everybody. That here's the thing. Everybody out there
They get it.
knows what's going on.
Yeah, I didn't realize the trail was right there, but yeah, so I try to be more mindful now. Everybody makes mistakes on the trail here and there. I mean, we just ran
Yeah.
across on our last trip. We found I found a place where somebody decided to dig a hole, and they did not pack out their teepee. They didn't even bury their teepee. They just left it uh, strewn about in the woods there, and it was so rained on, and there was no really picking it up cleanly. So I felt bad leaving it there, but at the same time, I didn't really feel like it was capable of being really picked up at that point. It was already kind of mushed and almost back to nature. But it
Yeah,
was
so
definitely
my
teepee.
2 cents to any of our listeners is don't be that guy or girl. I mean, nobody wants to come across somebody else's gross, nasty toilet paper. Pick up your stuff. I mean,
We're all trying to
really
enjoy
the rule
nature.
the
We're all,
the rule is you're supposed to pack it out. If you're not going to pack it out, at
yeah.
least frickin' bury it. Come
Well,
on.
in certain areas in Michigan now too, they are recommending you even pack out your poop, which I'm not personally into that. It's a recommendation. It's not a rule yet. I'm not all into that. I know people that the rule is pack out your teepee, and I've even heard avid hikers say they're not packing out their teepee and they bury their teepee. I just hope they're using some of the more biodegradable stuff, like the campers use and things like that in the RVs. But uh, I definitely subscribe to the pack out my teepee rule. If that's what they are, if the rule states that I'm trying to keep nature as nice as possible, and they've got a reason for that rule, um, I guess there's been too many animals getting it into their digestive systems, things like. Excuse me. Um,
Well, and I think it's more with like modern day toilet paper. I just don't think modern day toilet paper breaks down the way, it's not like we're having
True.
one ply,
Yeah.
septic safe. A lot of people have sewer these days. It's not like it used to be back in the day where everybody had septic
Yeah.
and you had to have the TP that broke down. I think this newer toilet paper, I don't think it breaks down the same way.
No.
So I do, even though I'm packing out my toilet paper, I do still take the RV
Yeah.
and boat
Same.
toilet paper,
Same.
which is like this super quick breakdown stuff. Um, I don't know why, because I'm packing it out anyway. But I guess in the event that if I ever were to run out of bags or whatever, and I had to bury it, well, at least I'm burying the stuff that breaks down super quick.
Right. Yeah, same here. If you are one of those people that at home you still use those flushable wipes, even though they're not really all that, they don't break down like they say they do.
Yeah,
Um,
note to self: flush. There is no such thing as a flushable wipe.
right.
Just wipe. I
Uh,
mean, you.
yeah, if you do need that and you do take that on the trail, definitely pack that out because that is not breaking down in the woods. Um,
Exactly.
that's a lot of weight though because they are wet wipes, and anything wet is added water weight. So it's not recommended by me to take that in the woods, but you do you. I'm not here to tell you not what to do, what not to do. Just recommendations. Uh,
And as far as if you're gonna do the pack your poop out too, which I am not packing my poop out. I'm sorry, I'm just not doing it. But if you are the type of person that wants to follow that rule and pack your poop out, they do make. I mean, I guess you got a couple of options. You can just put it in a doggy bag and carry it like dog poop because people do that.
right.
You might want to get a big bag, but the alternative is they do make, and I guess I don't know what they're called, but there's this like they're like a hiking portable bathroom bag thing. It's filled with this like crystal thing that reacts with the moisture in your waste, and it like makes it into a. I think it like sanitizes it even. Like it makes it into like a gel
Yeah,
that you can then like fold up into your bag and then put that into another bag and all these things to be able to hike out with that. I've never done that. I don't know as though I'm going to get to that point where I feel like I need to do that. I mean,
yeah.
animals are out there pooping in the woods.
Well, and again, and animals don't care if you're 200 feet from a water source. Animals don't care a lot about a lot of things, but uh, if you get one of those kits where it jellifies your poop and all that stuff, then that again is more weight that you're carrying in with you and ultimately carrying out. So everything. And I mean, I know Shawn said in a previous episode that he doesn't count ounces as ounces; it's pounds for pounds or whatever. But every little bit does add up, and especially if you're talking about something that you can leave in the woods.
Right.
If it's something that's okay to leave out there, leave it out there. Don't carry it. It's annoying for me when I'm walking my dogs. I've got big dogs, so I do have big poop bags. But I don't want to carry my dog poop bag.
No, I know. Right. I know. That's the thing. Like, I don't want to carry a dog poop bag. I don't want to carry my own poop bag either.
Right. So if it's something I'm allowed to leave out in the woods, then I will. Don't burn your poop bag. I don't think anybody, especially if it's community fire pit, uh, don't burn your poop toilet paper. I'm sure it will burn, but I don't think anybody's going to want to smell that. But
Right.
they're I mean, for that matter, I don't know why I never thought about it, but every once in a while you do come across a parking lot or a campground or something that has a dumpster or has a garbage bin. Empty it there, take care of it there, get rid of that weight. Like we walked through 2 campgrounds and a few day use areas this past trip. Could have easily just dumped it right there. Didn't even think about it.
Yeah, no, we could have. I guess I didn't really think about it either.
But take care of it responsibly. Do your part to keep nature, and don't let's make it so they don't enforce more rules out on the trail. Since we're already trying to do our part to just be out there and enjoy yourself.
Yeah. So anyway, so back to the original point. So we were talking about, the first time or whatever. So anyway, you go out and you dig a hole. You literally squat over it, right? I mean, it's kind of what you do. And then I had a hard time, I'll be honest with you, I had a hard time figuring out what to do with my pants and my underwear while I was doing that the first time. This is probably too much information. I'm going to share it anyway. I found
We've talked about it before, and I forget about it every time that you had a problem with what to do with your pants, and it just cracks me up. But go ahead.
I didn't know what to do with them. I didn't want to like, like when you're at home, you're on a toilet and there's like a clear delineation, like this is where your stuff's going to go. And then your pants are outside that. So there's not an issue. So the first time I go out and dig this hole, I'm like, okay, like, well, for one, I didn't know how good my aim was going to be. Right. So
Tell me you didn't take your pants off.
FBI took my pants off. I took my pants all the way off, hung them on a tree. I'm like, I am not getting shit all over these pants. I hung them on a tree. Yes, I did.
Okay.
And I'm not even embarrassed about it.
You do you.
That I'm telling you. And I mean, so I'm looking over my shoulder the whole time. I'm like, okay, somebody's going to be out here. I had a situation like you had where I'm like, okay, I've walked so far out in the woods. What if I'm up against another trail at this point?
Right.
And I'm out there with my pants hanging on a tree, squatting over this hole.
It screams axe murderer.
It screams something. One way or another, it's going to wind you up on a list. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah. I mean, the whole thing was really quite the comedy sketch. I mean, it was quite comic. But because then it's like, okay, so now I'm squatting over this hole and like, where am I going to set my toilet paper roll? What am I going to do with this shovel? Where are my pants going to be? Like, it was a whole fiasco the first time I did it. I was pretty proud of myself. Uh, Everything went where it was supposed to. Got the hole covered up. Got my toilet paper put in my little bag. Um, Everything worked out good. But yeah, I took my pants off. I'm not even ashamed of it.
Okay.
Uh, I don't feel the need to do that every time anymore. Although I'll be quite honest with you, sometimes it's a little bit easier. I feel like I
Well,
have
I mean,
more
sometimes
maneuverability.
it's just nice to take your pants off. So,
Well, sometimes yeah. Well, there's that. I mean, that's a whole different episode all on its own. But yes, sometimes it's nice just to take your pants off and let things air out. We talked about how bad you sweat sometimes,
yep.
so you know that includes everywhere. So I
So,
don't always take my pants off anymore, but I'll be honest, there's sometimes that I still do.
okay. Fair. It's all fair. Uh,
I find because if I just hike them down to like my thighs, well, then your thighs are like constricted, and I have a harder time balancing. Where like if I'm
I thought you had super core strength.
well, I do have super core strength, but if my thighs are constricted,
Oh, okay. So, I guess I'll echo the nervousness with the first time. Didn't really know what to expect, what to do. You know, I had
yeah, you're over there laughing at me, but you were just as nervous. I was the one that went out and tried it.
Yeah, you went out. Well, I mean, I definitely tried it. I have pooped in the woods.
Well, yeah.
The first time was an experience that I don't think I'll ever forget, but I was able to maintain pant height just below knees and still.
Oh, you pulled them down that far. Okay. See, and that's how far down that I get nervous about pooping on them.
Well, just below knees, but if you squat far back enough, then
Oh, I can't squat that far back.
oh, well, you know, maybe we'll have to do some workouts or something, then get you stronger. I don't know.
All right, well, finish telling them your story, and then we'll get into some of that other stuff.
You know, I managed to dig my hole and aim properly, all that stuff. Had a similar quandary about what to do with the toilet paper, where to set that, because you don't necessarily want it in the dirt, and then you're going to be wiping and all that stuff. So,
what do you do with your toilet paper? I don't think you and I have never talked about this point. What do you do with?
I have been fortunate enough now to make sure. The first time was just a coincidence, but now I have planned to have some kind of a log next to where I'm squatting, like a downed tree, a downed log of some sorts. And after I dig the hole, I will lean the shovel with the handle of the shovel facing me, and I will use that as a toilet paper roll.
That I do the same thing. I put the toilet paper on the handle,
but I lean it over so it's not vertical. It's more of a horizontal toilet paper roll like you have at home. So I've been making sure that I have some kind of a thing to lean the shovel on. Just something that worked out the first time that it was there, and the toilet paper falls and leans against the log while you're doing your business, but then you can pull it and get how much you need, and go from there. It just works.
Oh yeah, I just stick the shovel right in the dirt. Like I just step on it and stick it right in the dirt.
Drop the toilet paper
and then just drop it down on the top of it.
So I use, I don't know, I'm a little bit more industrial, or I don't know if that's the right word, more something.
You're like an engineer.
There
like
you go.
You're coming up with like geometry and stuff to figure out how to get this toilet paper roll to work.
Yeah, I don't want it on the ground. I want it to float in the air. So there you go.
And you want to know what else made me nervous about doing it the first time too? And quite honestly, even to this day, I am like super afraid that I'm going to get like ticks or mosquitoes trying to fly up and bite up in there while that's exposed.
Yeah, that's a legit concern. I'll probably think about it now. I hadn't before, but now I probably will. Thanks.
You hadn't thought? That's like one of my big concerns.
Well,
like while I'm exposed,
I'm not,
because I don't got no bug spray in that area. I don't got nothing protecting me from the creepy crawlies.
I'm not going in an area that is very ferny, or like I'm finding a spot that's open where ticks typically wouldn't be. Like they usually get up on like the ferns or like some stuff, so where if you brush past them.
I don't know if I agree with you on that. I mean, ticks especially, they're freaking everywhere. I mean, I don't know, people, wherever you're listening in whatever part of the country that you're in or whatever part of the world, I don't know if ticks are bad where you're at, but Michigan, where we are located, over the last 3, 4, half dozen years, we have had a like tick boom here
Yeah.
because our winters have not been cold enough to kill them off. We've always had cold enough winters where ticks would die throughout the winter and then we wouldn't have so many come summertime. Well, our winters here have not been that
Ooh.
harsh, so we have had like an explosion of ticks.
Well, our intro episode we recorded over at Bowman Lake, and
Yep.
we didn't see a tick until we got to the campsite, and we ended up pulling 20 or some off of me and 18 or
22
something
or
off of you
something
or
like, I
something
think it
like
was in the 20s.
it was like 40 or 50 total between the two of us.
Yeah.
And then we found more in the morning, so we won't be staying at that campsite. That was the first time on that campsite at that campground. There's one across the lake that we stayed at last year and had 0 ticks. So I don't know if it was just happened to be. I mean, and of course it was last year. There's a whole winter in between and all that. So who knows? But it was also last fall and opposed to this spring. So who knows? But yeah, ticks while I'm pooping have not been a concern of mine.
Okay,
Mosquito.
but even mosquito bites, like I don't want to get a mosquito bite down up in there,
Yeah.
or flies. I mean, we had deer flies or whatever this
No,
last trip. Not
that's
bad,
true.
but they were about. They'll go after whatever they can go after.
That is true. We had the deer flies and stuff. Okay. Well, I mean, I guess I'll think about it now, but I hadn't before. Good, good, good,
I oh,
good amateur
I should
hiking
clarify
advice for
that I
an
have.
amateur hiker.
Yeah, I should clarify. I have never had that happen, but it is a concern that I have every time that I'm going out there. Like I definitely think of that when I am picking my spot to
Yeah.
to do my
Well,
business.
and that's why I
That
said,
is a
like, I
concern.
don't pick a spot that's got a lot of ferns. I don't pick a lot of, I try to find a log that I can go next to that doesn't have a tree next to it that I know I'm gonna have to dig through a lot of roots. Like there's things that you tend to softer ground is nice. When you start digging a hole, yeah, it's only 6 inches deep, but you don't have your shovel that you have at home. You've got a packable shovel. Ours is pretty nice. I like our shovel. It's still not the one I have at my house that I could dig that hole a lot easier.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, no, it's not like a garden shovel or whatever by any means, but it is a pretty nice shovel. It's more than just like it's more than a trowel. Like
Right.
we take like an actual collapsible
Yeah.
shovel.
I've seen the
It's got some
people.
weight to it. It's
Yeah, I follow some people online, and I see the people that say, ditch the collapsible shovel, just take this handy, like lightweight plastic trowel. And some of the dirt in Michigan, man, I don't know that I'd be able to dig the hole that I need with just a hand trowel.
yeah, I
Like,
don't know either because there's always like roots and stuff
there's
that
always
you're
roots,
kind of
or
gotta.
you get into some clay, or you get just some rough dirt. Like, I just don't know.
Well,
Maybe
and the
they're
fact
in
that your
some
trouble is
areas that
kind of
got
like
sand and soft dirt. I don't know.
yeah, well, that's what I was saying though. I mean, plus your shovel is like a multi-tool too. So I mean,
Yeah,
it's that shovel that we have. It's a pretty good shovel. Well,
we'll get
we're
into
gonna try
that
to
in another episode. I'll say it this time, not
yeah.
you.
Okay, yeah, thank you, appreciate that. Yeah, we'll get into that. We're gonna try to get links up to like what some of our stuff is because we keep talking about what our stuff is and it's hard to show you over an audio podcast.
Right.
So we're gonna try to get some links up to some of the stuff. So stay tuned for that. We'll post that on our socials once that actually goes live. But that way you can at least see what we're talking about. But so then I guess the next thing is so Mike and I are both, from what it sounds like, I've never actually watched you do your business in the woods, but
Sure
it
you
sounds like
haven't.
we both just use the.
The
Sounds like we both.
squat over the hole and go method. Yeah.
Yeah, just the pop a squat and go. There are other, if you look online, there's lots of other positions that people recommend. I
Yeah.
think all of them, for my taste, they take too much planning and too much work.
Well, so the one I've
Um,
got a lot of questions about, and I'll share this. And so if anybody wants to write to me or us about their experience using this method, I have questions about it. Because the one method is to find a tree, dig a hole next to that tree, use the tree as like your backstop. So like you're doing one of those like little wall squats where you plant your body on the tree and you squat down, and then that's your support. Um, I've never successfully dug a hole right next to a tree.
That's
So
my question. That's my question with that method is who is digging that close to a tree? Who's getting 6 inches down right
right.
next to the base of a tree?
So if, like I said, if you have success with that, if you say that works a lot easier or whatever, maybe I'll try it. But for me, it's a no right now. But that is another method that I've seen. Um,
The other one that I see is the log. You find a fallen log,
yep,
dig like dig your hole on the back side of that fallen log,
yep.
and then use that log as basically a toilet seat. Hang your rear end over the back of it. That seems like too much work for me too. Like I don't feel like my aim is going to be as good.
That I don't feel like my aim is going to be that good, and I'm only 5'6", so the fallen log has got to be pretty small for me to fit my thighs and everything over enough to.
That's the thing.
So
It's got to be pretty small, but it's got to be big enough to make it worth it.
right,
Like
yeah,
I just
you got to
don't.
find the perfect log.
That you have to find the perfect log, and who's finding? I don't got time to find the
Right.
perfect log. Like I'm just looking to go poop in the
Because
woods. Like
90,
I don't.
90% of the time, if I've got to go in the woods, then I got to go in the woods.
Right, right.
So
And then the other method that I've seen is this one. This one is silly to me, but you've seen the sling, right?
I I have seen the sling.
So I have lots of
Remind me
questions
of the
about it, but
sling because
basically,
I vaguely have it in my memory, but I don't.
so it's just like it's like a sling that some people might use in the bedroom or
Oh, that's
similar
right.
thing. And you wrap it around a tree, so you stand facing the tree, and then there's this sling that you like wrap around the back of the tree, and then you kind of like squat back into this sling, and then use that as like a seat with the tree being the counterweight, and then I've got lots of questions about that too, because then you're gonna have to get the sling adjusted just right to like hit your mark of the hole.
Right. And if
And
that's your
it's
method,
another thing.
go ahead. Sorry.
Well, no, I was just gonna say if that's your thing, so now you've got another piece of gear that you're bringing that seems like a waste.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that seems like a waste of space. It seems like too much setup.
Yeah.
And I guess now that I'm talking about it, like the alternative is, I guess you probably could just freaking poop on the ground, and then you probably could dig a hole at that point and bury it, and then you don't have to worry about hitting your mark. But I don't know. It seems like too much work.
Yeah. But I don't know. Like, I kind of like to dig your hole first, and because then you just put the dirt over the poop. You're not shoveling the poop, so you don't ever have poop on your shovel
I agree.
that you're putting back in your pack.
I
So
absolutely agree with that.
that's my thing with it is dig for. My advice anyway is dig first for sanity purposes, not sanity, sanitizing purposes.
Sanitary. I think
Sanitary. There we go.
sanitary.
We'll get
There
the
you
word
go.
eventually.
There it is. We got there.
But dig first. Yeah, your shovel's gonna touch dirt, and you're putting that in your pack, but dirt's getting in your pack regardless. If you
Oh, dirt's getting in your pack regardless.
if
For
you can
sure.
keep the poop out, keep the poop out. So that's why, like I said, I bring that extra little bag that I clip to the exterior. Nobody really knows what it is. Just me and Shawn know what it is on the trail. Everybody else sees that it's just a green. So I guess if you see us on the trail and you see a green pack clipped to my pack, it's got poop waste in it, but but you won't smell it.
Right, exactly.
So
So, all right. So those are like your basic. So that's if you don't have like if you're just out in the middle of nowhere, you're just out on the trail, you got to go.
yeah,
The other options for pooping in the woods. So some places that you go, if you're not just doing true backcountry, find a spot and pitch a tent and all the things without like a designated area. Some of the locations that we have gone to have a designated. What is that thing even called? Like, I mean, it's a designated toilet seat out in the woods.
It's it's a vault toilet in a sense, but I don't think they pump it out, because there was evidence of the last one we saw that they had covered the last one and just dug a new one and
Yeah,
moved the toilet seat. So it's a throne. It's
yeah.
Some of them have a backstop if it's not very well wooded. Some of them don't, for privacy purposes and things like that. But it's literally a toilet in the middle of the woods, open to the elements, the bugs, the flies. The one we
I mean, I think calling it a toilet is being generous. It is a toilet seat on top of a hole, and
yeah,
it's a toilet seat on top of a pipe,
yeah. I mean, yeah. Okay, fair. But
and
so
it is exposed to the elements. The ones that we have come across and used are not in any sort of shelter. The one had like a backstop to it just to kind of shade you from people walking by on the trail on the other side of it. But for the most part, the other ones that we've seen are literally you're out in the middle of the woods. Here's the toilet seat, so they often have questionable liquids around them or on them.
well, that,
Um,
and sometimes the lids don't get put down, and that opens them up to more bugs, more flies, more creepy crawlies that could eventually end up where you don't want them. And I'm more of a no thank you to that. I'm out in the woods. I will find a spot 200 feet from a water source and deal with it that way. That's my
I know,
personal
yeah,
take on that. You do
I know.
you, but
You and I are like minded on that. Although I will say, I mean, just for the record, if that is available, they want you to use it.
they do want you to use it if it's yeah. I mean,
I mean,
maybe that's
the
where
one
your
that we
dude
went to.
wipes or your something come in. You can clean it up as much as you can, but I still don't know if that one we saw there was no help in that thing.
Oh yeah, that one, the one that we were on this last trip
Yeah,
that we came up to. Yeah, I know. Thank you. That one right away. I mean, when I got to it, the lid was up. It was full of flies buzzing around, and then on top of that, there was that questionable liquid that I don't know what it was. It was a brown liquid. Is it dirty rainwater? Is it
oh
somebody
yeah, I didn't see that, but
swatted in
yeah.
mist?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, it was a no thank you for me
That's
when
a
I came
hard
upon
no.
that one.
Yeah, that's a hard no.
That's a hard no. Yeah, for
Yeah,
sure.
I mean, I used I did not use that one. I did use the other ones that we had available to us. Just for, like I said, I do try to follow the rules of the trail if I'm not putting my health in danger.
Right.
So I did use the other ones, and like I said earlier, sometimes you will come across like a parking lot that has a vault toilet system, or even a porta potty or something. So if it comes down to it, and you're shy to dig a hole or anything like that, there are going to be other methods. Like, well, we were just up at Pictured Rocks again, and we camped at the Ensemble East, and a half mile from us was the Lighthouse Museum and all that kind of stuff, and they had a bathroom in the parking lot, things like that. But they also had the nicer vault toilet too. So, but
Yeah, I know. Well, and then we did walk through one day use area. The trail just happened to meander through a day use.
yeah,
It went through a day use area and it went through a drive-in campground.
campground. Yep,
So we did stop and use that bathroom at the drive-in campground
yep,
because that was following the day with the no thank you toilet.
yep,
And I think we both needed to
yep.
use the facilities, so we took a break there. And so you're not going to run into that every time, but depending on where you're going,
Yeah.
you may run into that along the trail. Some of the trails that we hike along, sometimes we do the North Country Trail quite a bit. Sometimes that does follow the road. If they can't get the trail to go through the woods, sometimes that does follow the road.
Right.
So inevitably, eventually, you may come across the gas station or something while you're on the trail anyway. So
Or somebody's
that's
house.
it's, well, I don't know if I'd go to somebody's house, but,
Excuse me.
yeah, right. Like, hi, can I use your bathroom? I've been out here. I haven't showered in 4 days. I am wearing the same clothes that I started in.
I'll be
Can I
quick.
come in and use your
I'll
bathroom?
be quick, I promise.
Yeah, good luck with that. But you might have options, when you're planning your trip, take a look at some of that stuff, see what your options might be along the trail.
Yeah.
If you're not the type of person that is going to be able to dig a hole and use it, I mean, look, here, bottom line is sooner or later you're going to have to.
Yeah.
Like, you can
Oh,
plan
yeah.
as much as you want, even if you know that every day you got a gas station along your route or a bathroom of some sort. Something is going to happen at some point where, I mean, nature calls when nature calls. So eventually it's going to have to happen. So you might as well kind of embrace it, rip that Band-Aid off. If you've never done it, it's
Yeah.
not nearly as bad as you would think it is. Um, to the point where, like Mike and I are even saying, I'd rather dig a hole than sit on some of these dedicated toilet seats.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's not that bad.
it ain't that bad.
No.
I was a little bit, bathroom shy the first time I did it, but you get over that pretty quick.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, even if somebody were to come upon you in the woods while you're doing that, because that was kind of a concern of mine too. Like, oh my God, is somebody going to walk up on me? Here's the bottom line. Everybody out there is doing the same thing. All these people that are out there hiking or backpacking, they're getting into the same things that you are.
Yeah.
This is not a time to be bashful. It's just not.
Right. Well, and so I guess to that point, the campsites that we were just at were all community campsites where they shared one of those vault toilets, and they had a little stick with a sign that said, that kind of pointed you to where the restroom was. Using air quotes there, you can't see that, but restroom. But so it's got its own little designated trail to get to that toilet, and the one time it was the really nasty one, so I wasn't using that one. I did find a spot, dig a hole, and all that. But on my way out of that trail, I ran into one of the other campers that was going to use the toilet, and she's like, "Oh, are you done or anything?" I'm like, "Yep, it's all yours." But so there is that post. We need to come somehow. The hiking community needs to come up if there is a post like that for one of those toilets, like hang a hat on the sign or put a bandana or something on that sign to let somebody know it's in use. Or maybe we can, I mean, it'd take a lot to get a post, like a marker on the post, but like hang a hat or something, let somebody know that like it's in use. Because it's a good, I don't know, 100 feet.
Yeah, I mean, it's far enough away that people can't see you.
Can't see that you're on the toilet, so nobody can tell that it's in use. So hang something there, let people know, whatever, or have a buddy stand guard if you're hiking with a friend. Have somebody stand guard and to say, just a minute,
I know. I can't believe that there's not like a trail etiquette. And maybe there is, and maybe you and I just don't know about it. But
yeah, we might not have
there
looked
didn't
that
seem
one
to
up.
be there. Well, nobody else seemed to be doing anything. So I started hanging my hat, like, because I'm usually wearing a baseball cap or something
Right.
when I'm out on the trail. So I have started hanging my hat on those little signs when I'm back there. I don't even know if somebody would understand what that meant.
True.
But it's something for me to be like, all right, there's somebody back here, because like I said, you are far enough off the trail,
Yeah.
generally speaking, at these quote unquote bathrooms that you can't see if somebody's back there.
Right.
So we have to come up with a signal to each other for those of us that do want a little bit of privacy.
Maybe you just got to whistle while you poop.
Well, I can't whistle, so that's not going to work.
Take your rape whistle.
I know. Well, right. I'm just going to blow into my emergency whistle the entire time I'm back there. Then people are going to come start running back there. That ain't going to work.
All right. Well, yeah, we'll come up with an idea.
Yeah.
But I do, I don't know if still taking your shovel, hanging your hat on the shovel as a post or something. I don't know. But something. If you do come up on somebody and they are using the restroom and you startle them or whatever, just give them an "oops, sorry" and move on.
Yeah. Oops, sorry about that. You know. I don't know. Maybe I'll just start clapping or something while I'm back
If
there.
well,
That'll
yeah, I
work.
guess maybe if you hear the ground start to crunch and you hear somebody coming up, start clapping or saying, "Hey, bear."
Yeah.
So
Hey, Bear.
so, but yeah,
Yeah. So
I don't know that I have anything else to add about pooping in the woods.
I know.
Um,
I think that pretty much covers it, right? Like you got the dig a hole, you got the few different positions you can try, which I think are a waste of time. But if you're into it, go right ahead. You got the bring a bag with you with the gel stuff in it. You got the if there's a designated quote unquote restroom, toilet seat for you to
yep,
go in the vault. They do want you to use that. My understanding is they normally put that there, like if you're in an area that has a problem with runoff or water sources,
yeah,
like they're trying to contain that into an area so that you're not contaminating the area around it. So they do want you to use it,
yep,
and I don't want Mike and I to like scare you away from using those. Um, Use your best judgment on what you think is right for you. I mean, those are really your options, right? I mean, what
yeah,
other, or you hit a gas station or a restaurant along the trail somewhere if you happen to be lucky enough to have that as an option.
yeah. Well, and I guess the other thing is just do your research on what you're supposed to pack out in your region or your trail that you're hiking on, and pack out what you're supposed to. Do your part, and try to keep the trail nice for the next person.
Yeah, for sure. I totally agree with that. Realistically, even like I said earlier, even though Mike and I go to some areas where the pack in pack out rules are not quite as strict, like I'm still packing out my toilet paper. I don't want to come across somebody else's toilet paper. Nobody else wants to come across your toilet paper.
Right.
Even if you're doing your best to bury it, there's always a chance that critters could come upon it and dig it up. I don't know. I mean, I don't know if critters do that, but bottom line is, I don't want to come across your toilet paper. Please do
Right.
not leave your toilet paper in the woods where I'm going to come across it.
Right.
I will do the same courtesy to you if you will do that courtesy to me.
Yep. Absolutely. And yeah, I couldn't have said it better, sir.
Yeah, thanks. Appreciate that. So yeah, I think that's about it. Other than, I mean, I guess just to recap, you're going to be nervous. Mike and I were nervous.
Yeah.
It's a weird thing to do if you've never done it. And look, like we both grew up somewhat in the country. It's not like Mike and I are
City boys.
city boys or whatever. And it it is still weird the first time you do it. If you've never done it before, especially, it's weird. It's going to be uncomfortable. You'll get over it. It's not as big of a deal as it sounds like. You're That was one of the main talking points before we went on our first trip. Was like, all right, how is this going to go? It's not that big of a
Yeah,
deal.
we
People do
we
it.
grew up kind of in the country, but we did have indoor plumbing. Let's just put that out there. Like,
Oh, yeah, for sure. We did have indoor plumbing. Absolutely. But, like I had used vault toilets before. When
yeah,
when I grew up, where we would go camping when I grew up, it was all vault toilets. It wasn't these nice new, you know, indoor plumbing shower houses that you get at all these campgrounds these days. Like I grew up using a vault toilet. Now,
yeah.
yeah, it had four walls and a roof, but it's still fairly gross. There's bugs and all the things, but you're
It's
just not out in the middle of nowhere.
it's really the same concept as what's out in the woods. It's just got a cement pad and four walls and a roof over it. It's still just a hole in the ground in the middle of the woods.
Right.
So,
So, I mean, I had done that before, and this still made me nervous to
yeah,
try it the first time. But I got over it. You get over it pretty quick.
yep,
It is what it is. Everybody poops. There's a whole book about it.
yeah. I think I've read it twice now. So,
Yeah. So. All
so
right. Well, I guess that's all I got, unless you got anything else, Mike.
nothing else on that. Just as always, it's at Shawn Mike Hike on all the socials, and at
Yep.
ShawnMikeHike@gmail.com.
Yep.
Drop us a line. Tell us we're doing it wrong. Whatever you want to. If you have a subject you want us to cover, then we'll do our best to tell you what we don't know about it.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we've said anything here, if you swear by the leaning over the log method, or if you swear by
Yep.
the bring your sling and wrap it around the tree method, I would love to hear why that is better than the just squatting in the hole, because maybe I am missing something.
Maybe there's some horror stories out there with any of this too, so we'd love to hear those too.
Oh, I would love to hear a good, like, I would love to hear a good, embarrassing, my first time in the woods
Yep.
horror story. Yeah, by all means,
Yep.
send those. We're, like Mike said, we're on all the social medias at Shawn Mike Hike, or you can email us directly at ShawnMikeHike@gmail.com. We would love to hear your stories. Maybe we'll do a whole episode with stories that people write in. I guess if people write in enough.
If they do,
Yeah.
that's an if.
So,
So, well,
all right. Well, that's all I got. You want to do it again in a couple weeks, Mike?
yeah, I think a couple weeks sounds good.
All right. We'll see you guys then.
Yep. Go take a hike.
Oh, yeah. Go take a hike. FBI took my pants off. I'm like, I am not getting shit all over these pants.